All right, welcome to everyone to Council's September Ordinary Meeting. The meeting is being broadcast via Council's website, and I wish everyone who is viewing a very good evening and hope you are doing well. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we are meeting and the lands to where tonight's broadcast reaches. We also pay our respects to their elders and to the elders from other communities who may be in attendance. Tonight we'll be holding a virtual meeting for Buloke Shire Council. Throughout the meeting, councillors must be able to see, be seen, hear and be heard. To ensure we are fully meeting these guidelines, we will commence with a roll call of councillors to establish they are fully connected. So from the Lower Avoca Ward, Deputy Mayor Councillor David Pollard.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I can see everyone and hear everyone so far.
Excellent, thank you, Councillor Pollard. Councillor Bronwyn Simpson.
I can see and hear everybody. Thank you, Mayor.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Simpson. From the Mallee Ward, Councillor David Beers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can see and hear everybody.
Thank you, Councillor Beers. Councillor Alan White.
Good evening, everyone. I can see and hear everyone too.
Excellent. Thank you. Fellow Mount Jeffcott Ward councillors, Councillor Graham Milne.
Can see and I can hear everybody. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Milne. And Councillor Darryl Warren.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mayor. I can see and hear everybody.
Excellent. Thank you. And so can I. If a conflict of interest is declared tonight, the councillors who has, or the councillors who has the conflict of interest will be removed from the meeting completely for that item and then be reinstated after that item has been dealt with before the meeting can proceed. Councillors will vote by showing their hands, making sure their raised hand is within shot. For the purposes of our audience tonight, we have three matters that will be closed to the public for council to consider our confidential matters. So item 8.6.1, Sea Lake Visitor Hub, expression of interest. Item 8.6.2, contract C83 2020-21 Charlton Early Years Centre. And item 8.6.3, contract C75 2019-20 Birchip Sea Lake Road Streetscape Project Cumming Avenue contract variation. The meeting will be brought back into the open session after these matters have been decided. If any councillor loses connectivity during the meeting will be suspended and will be adjourned for up to 30 minutes to re-establish connection. So with that, we'll move on to our receipt of apologies. We have all our councillors here tonight, so we don't have any apologies. So item 3, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Can I please have somebody move that council adopts the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on Wednesday the 12th of August 2020, please?
Yes, Mayor, I'm happy to move those.
Yep, Councillor Warren to move. And a seconder, Councillor Pollard. Councillor Pollard to second. Is anyone against the motion? No? Excellent. Motion carried. Item 4, do we have any requests for leave of absence? No? Item 5, do we have any declarations of conflicts of interest? Yep, Councillor Warren?
Yeah, yes, Mayor, I'll declare a conflict in confidential item 8.6.1.
Yep, thank you. And Councillor Milne?
Madam Mayor, I'll also declare an interest, conflict of interest in the same item 8.6.1.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much for that. There's no other conflicts of interest? No? Excellent, thank you. All right, we don't have any questions from the public listed, so we'll move on to our procedural items. So item 7.1, report of Assembly of Councillor meetings. Can I please have somebody to move that council notes the report of Assembly of Councillor meetings held on the 5th of August 2020 and the 19th of August 2020, please? Councillor Warren?
Happy to move those, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. And seconder, Councillor Pollard's waving at me. Thank you. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? No? Excellent. Motion carried. Thank you. Item 7.2, letters of congratulations and recognition of achievements or awards. Can I please have somebody move that council acknowledges and congratulates the persons and or groups mentioned in the report for their achievements, unless we have any additions to add?
Happy to move that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Viz to move and Councillor Milne to second. Thank you. Is anyone opposed to the motion? No? Excellent. Thank you. Oops, sorry. Motion carried. Item 7.3, correspondence initiated by Council. Can I please have somebody move that Council notes the record of correspondence initiated by Council and the responses received, please? Councillor Pollard to move and a seconder.
I'm
Councillor
happy
Simpson.
to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion?
Not opposed, no.
No, excellent. Thank you.
Just
Motion.
a query
Yes.
there, if I may.
Mhm.
The letter to the Honourable Melissa Horn, Minister for Public Transport, Ports and Freights, back in June. Is she still the relevant minister, or was there a shuffle and she's not there? Because I have a feeling that she sort of lost that portfolio, or where are we at? Does anyone can advise me?
Mr. Jack.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am pretty confident and will confirm with you, but I'm pretty confident that she still has retained that portfolio. And we'll follow up on that letter as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Judd, and thank you, Councillor Warren. There was no one opposed to that motion, so I'll declare that carried. Item 7.4, planning applications received, monthly update. Do we have any questions or comments before I ask for a mover? No? Okay, well, can I please have somebody move that Council note the information contained in the report on planning applications under consideration by staff and the status of each of these applications, please? Councillor Viz to move and a seconder. Councillor Warren to second.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anyone opposed to the motion?
No.
No, excellent, thank you. Motion carried. Item 7.5, building permits. Do we have any questions on that before I ask for a mover? No? Okay, thank you. Can I please have someone then move that Council notes the information contained in the report on building permits approved by staff from the 1st of August 2020 to the 31st of August 2020, please? Councillor Simpson to move. Thank you. And
I'm happy to move that, Madam Mayor.
thank you, Councillor Simpson. And a seconder? Councillor Pollard. Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? No, thank you. Motion carried. Okay, so we'll move on to our general business and our policy report. So item 8.1.1 is our COVID-19 financial hardship policy. Ms. Yu, would you like to introduce that report, please?
Thank you. Excuse me. Through the Mayor, at the April 2020 meeting, the Council adopted the first COVID financial hardship policy in response to the coronavirus pandemic. In view of the unpredictable nature of the pandemic, the report proposes the extension of this policy for a further 12 months.
Thank you, Ms. Yu. Do we have any comments or questions? Councillor Warren has a question.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Are we talking about 12 months or 6 months? Because I think in the report it refers to a further 6 months. Well, has there been a deal done with the Greens? I don't know.
Through the Mayor, my apologies. Yes, through the Mayor, apologies. It is for a further 6 months, bringing it to 12 months in total.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any further questions or comments? No? Okay. Well, in that case, can I please have somebody move that Council adopts the revised COVID-19 financial hardship policy, please? Councillor Warren to move.
Yep.
Thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Simpson. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No? Excellent. Thank you. Motion carried. Now we'll move on to our management reports. Item 8.2.1. for the 2020-21 swimming pool season. Do we have any questions or comments before I ask for someone to move a recommendation? No, sorry, I probably should get Mr. O'Toole to actually introduce the report first, and then that might answer some questions. Sorry, Mr. O'Toole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, yes, the purpose of this report is for councillors to consider the upcoming pool season. Officers are recommending that the opening date for the season be the 14th of November and the closing date being the 14th of March 2021. Madam Mayor, there's no changes proposed to the opening days or hours across any of our 7 pools, and also that we continue with the policy to bank cold weather days to be added on to the end of the season, subject to the warm weather being available at that time. Madam Mayor, the other addition there is that Council delegate to the CEO any changes or amendments that we may need to make to the pool season as a result of COVID-19. Madam Mayor, the recommendation is before councillors.
Excellent, thank you, Mr. O'Toole. Now, we didn't have anyone that wanted to ask any questions, did we, before? When I jumped the gun? No? Okay, so I'll just ask for somebody to move that Council sets the 2020-21 swimming pool season to operate from Saturday the 14th of November 2020 until Sunday the 14th of March 2021 for all 7 swimming pools. Make no change to opening days and hours across all 7 swimming pools. Number 3, advertises the 2020-21 pool season dates through its media platforms and displays them at each pool for the duration of the season. 4, bank cold weather days for use at the end of the 2021 season where the temperature remains above 30 degrees. And 5, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to alter the season length under delegation in line with the advice and restrictions provided by the state government with regards to the COVID-19. Can I please have someone to move that? Thank you. Councillor Viz to move. Thank you. And a seconder. Councillor White to second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No? Excellent. Thank you. Motion carried. Item 8.2.2, free green waste period 2020. Mr. O'Toole, I'll ask you to introduce this report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the fire season approaches, as councillors will recall that every year we provide free access to our landfills and transfer stations for the purposes of our residents to deposit their green waste as they prepare their properties for the fire season. The recommendation is, Madam Mayor, for us to open the facilities for the month of October and authorise the Chief Executive Officer to extend that period as deemed necessary.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. O'Toole. Do we have any questions or comments? Councillor Warren?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to propose an alternative or amended motion, please.
Yep. Okay. Would you like to state what your motion is that you want to move?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The council provides free access to council's landfill and transport stations for the month of October for the purpose of disposing green waste in preparation for the 2020-21 fire season. Authorises the Chief Executive Officer to extend the green waste period as required. Provides ratepayers with 1 free 1 metre load equivalent to 6x4 trailer of commingled recycling, e-waste or general household waste to be disposed at council's landfill and transfer stations in the month of October only, with the following conditions. Only 1 free load per rate notice is permissible. Rate notices must be shown to landfill operators at the site to be eligible for free disposal. Residents that do not receive a rates notice are to contact the relevant property owner for access to a copy of the rates notice. Loads that are presented over 1 metre will attract the fees as determined in the budget. Mattresses, tyres, commercial waste, concrete, brick excluded and will still attract fees determined in the budget. Completes an evaluation following the October trial that includes an expenditure summary and environmental assessment for consideration against future waste management services and budget development. Now, I did circulate that via email to all councillors this morning.
Okay, thank you. So everyone's aware of exactly what that motion is saying? Yep. Okay, so we've got that moved by Councillor Warren. Can I please have somebody to second that motion, please? Councillor Milne to second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion?
Madam Mayor, can I ask a question, please?
Yes. Yeah.
It was with relation to the motion, and I circulated a question this morning that I haven't received an answer to. In Councillor Warren's proposal, that anything over the 1 metre attracts a charge. My question was, is that a charge for the whole trailer or the portion that is over the amended amount, please?
Thank you, Councillor Milne. My, I suppose, intent there was to make it would be the discretion of the operator. So if it was deemed to be well over the limit, I think there has to be discretion involved there as to what fee would be charged.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we had some indication that there was some opposition.
Suppose has been on the agenda of council for some time. Certainly when we undertook the 2030, I suppose, consultation with the community, that one of the significant feedbacks across all communities was access to, if you like, a hard rubbish collection of some sort across the municipality, or some support for disposal of hard rubbish at some point of time. It seemed to be a common theme right across the municipality. My thinking of presenting at this time was we are going into obviously the free waste period, clean-up time for residents out there prior to the fire season, and I received my notice today. So a timely reminder that I need to get on with the job at hand. I just think it's an opportune time to look at this and to say to the community that yes, we did listen. We've taken your feedback on board. We've given you some relief in this way to help assist with the cleanup. Obviously, it is it's a bit of a, if you like, how long's a piece of string? But I think given we are going to the extent of the green waste as a service to the community, that we could do this and then I suppose get the report from the officers after and see if it is an exercise that we could carry forward into future budget years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. Councillor Milne as seconder, would you like to speak now or wait until the others have had their chance to speak?
No, I'm happy to speak now, Madam Mayor.
Yep, sure.
I certainly agree with Councillor Warren that one of the loudest things that has been voiced to us over a number of years through a number of consultations is the need for a hard rubbish type collection and the general access to the tip for rubbish disposal by some residents who don't have that close at hand. So I support the idea of some sort of way of helping remove the rubbish from the areas to be cleaned so that it does help with the fire prevention process. There was a circular that came out today that did suggest that landfills have a limited life, that's for sure. If this rubbish was to come in over a period of 12 months, it still eliminates the life of the landfill in a similar way. So it's an encouragement for people to get up, have a clean up, and do some good for their own backyard. While I acknowledge that there is a cost to this, there is a cost to everything to do, and I think that we can find some savings in some things that haven't been done this year that may assist in that. But I also ask that if we are not successful in getting this up tonight, that it is considered in a future budget as a way of helping ratepayers who need that extra little bit of help to remove rubbish and to avoid expense that is building up somewhat on rubbish. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Milne. So now somebody who wants to speak in opposition of the motion. Councillor Pollard.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. There's just a few things that I'd like to bring to everyone's attention. First of all is that all council decisions could consider the Buloke business implications, and with this basically we haven't had time to do that because we specifically have skip bin operators in our shire, and whether it does have a financial implication on their business, I don't know, and we haven't had time to sort that out. As well as that, earlier this year we just completed a waste service review, and this activity wasn't brought up in the review as what I've come from the first two speakers. It probably should have been. So that's all of our faults for not bringing it up. But that's where it should be coming up, as in our service reviews. We've only just finished having a budget discussions in June as well, and with no free mention of hard rubbish, which is another big concern because this is an unbudgeted activity. And as our audit committee chair informed us councillors last Wednesday at a briefing, that the Buloke budget is extremely tight. And she went on to say that our Buloke staff are well disciplined in working to the budget, so we as councillors should be also maintaining that discipline. In finishing, I'd just like to comment that if this passes tonight, the funds will innovatively come from the roads and drainage budget, as this is easiest to adjust down with minimal notice and minimal implications at this stage. This is the service that we're knocked the hardest in our customer satisfaction survey, and to allow our rural ratepayers to subsidise another operating service, if it goes ahead, we still actually don't know the full cost of the COVID on our organisation and into the future. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like everyone to consider those thoughts in deliberating for this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Do we have anyone else that wishes to speak either for or against? Councillor Viz and then Councillor White.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this is a great idea, possibly moving forward for future budgets. The concern that I did have, and I must stress that I think all of us councillors and everybody would love to have this type of thing happen. The concern I have is, number one, that TIPS may be overwhelmed. Number one, and number two, while the green waste was budgeted for in the budget, as Councillor Pollard has mentioned and has said, we don't have a full cost estimate on what this would actually cost council, and with budgets being tight, I think that is a concern. I think we would all love to offer this, but I think, as Councillor Milne had also said, that possibly we can look at this and focus on doing something similar to this in next year's budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Viz. Councillor White.
Thank you. I won't go over what Councillors Viz and Pollard have already said. I will say that, as Councillor Warren has suggested, this is an issue. Hard rubbish collection is an issue that has been discussed fairly regularly in this council. But we have adopted a waste strategy where the main focus is actually on resource recovery. And so we should be encouraging our residents to sort their rubbish into the different categories of waste that we have and that we collect at our transfer stations. And that is e-waste and mattresses and tyres and paint and construction and industrial waste and recycling materials, plastics that can be recycled, glass that can be recycled, and wood and so on. General waste these days is, I think we used to think of general household waste as just everything, but the focus should be, and in our waste strategy, is about sorting our waste, and that's what we should be focused on here. It hasn't been budgeted for, and it is going to be a huge cost for council, not only financially, but also in the life of our landfill cells. And we don't have much airspace left in those landfill cells. And once they are full, then we're going to have to transport all of that kind of waste to other areas. So, you know, this might seem like a good idea to do it for a month to see how it goes, but in actual fact, it could probably backfire, because we could end up with far too much waste all lumped in together. So I wouldn't like to see this going through, this amendment going through as it is. I think it needs a bit more work and a bit more discussion to be able to actually ascertain what it is that we really can afford, and also what the community want to do as well. There's many people in the community who do sort their waste, and there's many people who want to know more about resource recovery and recycling, and maybe that's what we should be putting our focuses onto. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor White. Councillor Simpson, did you want to address the motion, or you're happy to relinquish your role?
No, I'm happy to listen to both sides of the discussion, and I think that we have had a lot of discussions about hard rubbish collections and the need for this within our communities.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Councillor Simpson. Councillor Warren, would you like the right of reply?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I think there's been a good bit of backwards and forwards in here about where we sit, and I mean, there are both interesting points on both parts of the discussion. I put the motion. It's been seconded. I suppose the process here is then to go to the vote. So thank you, Mayor.
Okay, no worries, thank you. All right, now that everyone's had their say, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? All those opposed? Yep, sorry. Okay, motion has not got up. So what?
Can I call for a division on that, please?
Yep, you absolutely can. Okay, so those for were Councillor Milne, Councillor Warren and Councillor Simpson. Thank you. And those opposed? Councillor Stewart, Councillor White, Councillor Pollard and Councillor Viz. Thank you.
Mayor.
To be able to move forward on this, is there anyone willing to move the original recommendation?
Madam Mayor, I'm prepared to move the original recommendation so as the green waste could still happen.
Yep, okay, Councillor Pollard to move. And a seconder? Councillor White. So second. Do we have anyone opposed to that motion? No? Okay, thank you. Motion carried.
Madam Mayor, can I just interrupt for a second, please? My computer is charging is not keeping up with the computer usage. Started on 80%, I'm down to 10% now. I'm going to drop out of the meeting very shortly.
Okay. Did you want us to pause so you can find a charger, or?
No, it's on charge now. It's charging while we're working, but it's not keeping up.
Okay, I'll try and talk a little bit faster then, because we haven't got much to go through.
No, that's fine. But okay. I want you to be aware that if I disappear, that's the reason.
Okay, and you're saying that we won't be able to get you back?
Well, it'll take probably longer to get charge into the computer than you'll need to finish them. So
you're saying you're happy for us to continue with the
meeting? If it does happen, yes, I'm happy for you to continue.
All right, thank you, Councillor Milne. Thank you for letting us know. All right, so item 8.2.3, AgriLinks upgrade program. Mr. O'Toole, would you like to introduce that, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, the state government has made available via the AgriLinks upgrade program $350,000 of unmatched funding for council to consider for roadworks. Officers have considered our options, looking at road conditions and where we think we can get the best benefit for this funding, and have identified the Nullawil to Birchip Road at the eastern end of that, at the Nullawil side, running from the railway line for 700 metres west past the grain storage facility. Officers believe this would be a very good outcome in that area with that piece of road desperately needing an upgrade. So the recommendation is in front of councillors, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. O'Toole. Can I please, does anyone have any questions or comments before I ask for a mover? No? Okay. Then can I please have somebody move that council submit an application under the AgriLinks upgrade program for roadworks to the Nullawil Birchip Road in Nullawil for $350,000, please? Councillor White to move and Councillor Viz to second. Do we have anyone opposed to that motion? No? Excellent. Thank you. Motion carried. Okay, our next item on the agenda is the financial reports. However, Vargo have not yet provided their full audit to the audit committee last week. So the audit committee were unable to sign off on the financial statements. So I'm proposing a different motion here. So for item 8.3.1, the alternate motion is that the report for the financial statements and performance statements for the 2019-20 year be held over and presented to the October ordinary meeting of council. Can I please have somebody to move that, please? Councillor Pollard to move. And a seconder, please. Councillor Simpson. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Item 8.4. 8.4.1, appointment of Audit and Risk Committee Chair. Can I please have Ms. Yu to present this report, please?
Thank you. Council's Audit and Risk Committee Chair, a charter, beg your pardon, provides that the chair must be appointed by the council. Jess Adler, the current chair of the committee, is due to conclude her role as independent member at the end of this month, the 30th of September. The Audit and Risk Committee met informally to discuss the appointment of the new chair, and a recommendation was made to council staff that Ms. Margaret Abbey, PSM, be appointed as the chair of the Audit and Risk Committee. This report recommends the appointment of Ms. Abbey, PSM, as the chair of the Audit and Risk Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Yu. Do we have any questions or comments in regards to that? No? Okay. Well, can I please have somebody move that council appoints Ms. Margaret Abbey, PSM, as that chair of the Audit and Risk Committee from the 1st of October 2020 to the 14th of November 2021, and 2, considers extending the appointment of Ms. Margaret Abbey, PSM, as the chair of the Audit and Risk Committee, should her term as an independent member of the Audit and Risk Committee be extended by council for a further term at a council meeting in 2021, please. Councillor Pollard to move and Councillor Milne to second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so we're up to item 8.5, reports from councillors. Do we have any reports that councillors are wishing to make? No? Okay, thank you. And I'll just table my attendances. So then in that case, we'll move on to item 8.6, which is matters which may exclude the public. So can I please have somebody to move that pursuant to section 66(1) and 2 subsection A of the Local Government Act 2020, the meeting be closed to the public to consider the following reports that are considered to contain confidential information on the grounds provided in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020 as indicated. Item 8.6.1, Sea Lake Visitor Hub expression of interest. Subsection H, confidential meeting information being the records and meetings closed to the public under section 66 to subsection A, tender information. Item 8.6.2, contract C83 2020-21 Charlton Early Years Centre, subsection G 2. Private commercial information being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage. Item 8.6.3, contract C75 2019-20 Birchip Sea Lake Road Streetscape Project, Cumming Avenue, contract variation. Subsection G2, private commercial information being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage. Can I please have a mover for that? Thank you. Councillor Pollard to move and Councillor Viz to second. Anyone opposed to that motion? No? Excellent. Okay, thank you. So we'll close the meeting to the public to consider those matters. Okay, so I think, oh yep, we've got Councillor Milne, Councillor Pollard, Councillor Viers, Councillor Warren, Councillor White, and myself. We're just missing Councillor Simpson.
Perhaps she hasn't left the
Breakout room.
Yeah.
Oh, here she comes. Okay, so can I please have somebody move that council reopens the meeting to the public pursuant to section 66(1) and 2 subsection A of the Local Government Act 2020, please? Yep. So Councillor Warren to move and Councillor White to second. Is there anyone opposed to that? No, excellent, thank you. Motion carried. We'll make sure that we're still live streaming. All right, I've lost my place in my agenda. Okay. So we'll move on to item 9, which is other business. So we don't have any notices of motion. So we'll move on to 9.2, questions from councillors. Do we have any questions from councillors? So we have a question from Councillor Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. To the staff, this council is coming to a, I suppose, a close very shortly. We certainly have lots of unfinished business on our plate at the moment. I draw the staff's attention to the report into Lake Tyrrell. We've had, I suppose, discussions at a briefing. I'd just like to be appraised of where we are now at with the report into Lake Tyrrell, and when that may be completed, given that that contract was awarded some time ago. And once it's completed, what is the future status, or what is the future use of that report? Where will it be circulated? Who will it be circulated to? Or is it of such a sensitive nature that it'll never see the light of day? I'm just curious to see where we might be going with that particular piece of work before this council finishes its term. Thank you.
Councillor, Mr. Judd, would you like to address that question?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Warren, for the question. I'll try and answer the different elements. So there is an extra week of field work that is to be done out on site, which is part of the contract with the consultants to do that work under the current COVID restrictions. That has been delayed, and there is no time frame for that to happen. So my hope is later this year, later this calendar year, but pending restrictions, we'll just have to see how that goes. From that, the report will be finalised. The report in its whole will have sensitive elements, and not all sensitive elements will be released, but my discussions with Aboriginals Victoria late last week was that a majority, the vast majority of that report, including recommendations, will be released to landowners and will be released. So landowners that certainly were involved in fieldwork, and therefore it will become public. As I understand it, there are some confidential elements, particularly around the sites and the artefacts and the particular sites around the registration. So yes, it will become public after it's been finalised. I'm not sure if I've got every single element of that question, Councillor Warren.
Look, thank you, Mr. Judd. Look, yeah, it does. I mean, the reality, timeline-wise, I suppose, to use a common terminology, the roadmap going forward looks like that we probably won't see anything of this report until next year at some stage. in reality.
Yeah. My hope is that field work is done later this year, and that's a hope. And I think you're probably right. It'd be early next year before the full report is completed, finalised. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Warren. Is that all of your questions? Yep, thank you. Do we have any other questions from councillors? No? Okay, thank you. So we don't have any urgent business or any other business, so we can draw the meeting to a close. Thank you to everyone for attending. We will have our next ordinary meeting during our caretaker period on Wednesday, the 14th of October 2020 at 7 p.m. Thank you all for coming.